I know, I am grossed out too, okay? He's 12. She's 34. Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Crue Trime. Crue Trime. Crue Trime. If you are new here, hi! My name is Sarah, and what I do here is tell you a terrible story to ruin your day and put on my makeup at the same time. So if you like makeup and you like crime, then you're in the right place. So make sure that you subscribe to this channel, turn on all of your notifications, and then that way you will never miss one of my terrible stories. We're in the holiday season, so I've decided that I'm going to take a little break from murder. Plenty of other terrible things to talk about. So today's episode does not feature any deaths, but it's still very, very terrible. It's quite a throwback, and it's a story that received a lot of media attention over the years. Although there might be some nuggets in there that you didn't know about, because there's definitely some things that I didn't know. So buckle up. This is the story of Mary Kay Letourneau. In the Seattle suburb of Burien, Washington, on the afternoon of February 26th, 1997, 36-year-old school teacher and married mother of 4 children, Mary Kay Letourneau, was pulled out of a teacher's meeting at Shorewood Elementary School and placed under arrest. This arrest came after a call was made the day before to Child Protective Services, and the caller claimed that a teacher was engaged in an inappropriate relationship with a student, 13-year-old Vili Fualauu. After investigators spent the morning questioning Vili, he confirmed that the allegation was true. They were engaged in a sexual relationship.
Disgusting!
Well, Mary Kay was charged with statutory rape, and police issued strict instructions to Mary Kay to avoid all contact with Vili and his family, and then she was released. When she got home, her husband and children were gone, and Mary Kay immediately violated the order, calling Vili's mother, Suna, asking her to meet in a couple of days. Suna contacted detectives and told them that Mary needs help. She's living in a fantasy land. How did we get here? I'm glad you asked. Let's rewind. Mary Kay Schmitz was born on January 30th, 1962 in Tustin, California to Mary and John Schmitz. Mary was one of 6 children being raised in a very conservative, strict, devout Catholic family. Mary's parents, Mary and John, were very active in the Republican politics scene, and Mary offered conservative political commentary, and John eventually landed in the California State Senate, and then later the U.S. House of Representatives. So John and Mary Schmitz were right-wing nuts. You know, they were racist, homophobic, anti-Semitic, hypocrites, all the things. But they projected this picture-perfect Catholic family, you know, and they were very, very pro-life, focusing a lot of effort on shielding their kids from, like, sex education. Scandalous. They even went so far to move them from Catholic school to Catholic school to Catholic school until they found one that was conservative enough. And, funny story, John Schmitz, turns out he was having an extramarital affair with a former student from when he taught at a university. He fathered 2 other secret children, which he totally denied and then refused to provide financial support to. Great guy. They actually ended up as wards of the state when their mother later died. But that's its own story. There's also a lot of other things that happened in Mary's childhood that I'm just not going to get into because we'd just be here all day. Anyway, young Mary Kay's upbringing was demanding and competitive, but she was bright and pretty and charming. Red flag, charming. She made friends easily, and after graduating from high school in California in the early 1980s, Mary Kay enrolled at Arizona State University. In Arizona, she met and began dating a handsome fella from Alaska named Steve Letourneau. Well, Mary Kay and Steve hit it off, and pretty soon, she was pregnant. Based on her upbringing, you know, the only option was to get married. So they did. Well, the relationship between Mary Kay and Steve was fine, but it wasn't like some profound romance. Despite that, you know, they were happy enough and they decided to marry, and they moved back home to Alaska where Steve was from. Steve worked as a baggage handler for Alaska Airlines, and then a few years later he was transferred to a position in Seattle, Washington. Steve and Mary Kay later welcomed 3 more children into their family. Okay, so some of the research indicates that their marriage was pretty rocky. Money was very tight, for one thing, and Steve worked very long hours, so they didn't get to spend a lot of time together, and they both allegedly strayed from the marriage often. Affairs, you know what I'm saying. Mary Kay decided to go back to college to get her degree in teaching from Seattle University, graduating in 1989, and then she began teaching at Shorewood Elementary School. Well, the students loved her. You know, she was as pretty as a Disney princess, and she was kind and caring to the kids. But, you know, she wasn't the best disciplinarian. She wanted the kids to like her, you know? So there was a certain amount of shenanigans in her classroom, but nothing too crazy. What I'm getting at is that she wasn't, you know, the steadiest of adults, if you get what I'm saying. Well, in 1991, Mary Kay was teaching 2nd grade when she first encountered Vili Fualauu. He was 8 years old and a student in her class. She noticed that the child was insightful. You know, she felt a spirit or some kind of understanding between them that grew over time, like the feeling that you'd share with a sibling. Vili also had an incredible talent for art, and Mary Kay enjoyed doing what she could to encourage it, you know, buying art supplies and whatnot. And Mary Kay kept in touch with the boy casually after he left her class, and the years went on. Vili Fualauu was born in Honolulu, Hawaii in June of 1983 to Lueva and Suna Fualauu. Vili's home life wasn't super great. His dad had fathered 18 children by 6 different women. He had a bit of a criminal record and wasn't really around in Vili's childhood. His mother, Suna, did her best. You know, she worked multiple jobs, some of them overnight hours, but that meant that she wasn't really available to him either. They were also incredibly poor, but they did have a very strong, extended Samoan family, and his mother was very active in the church. So, in the fall of 1995, the now 12-year-old Vili returned to Mary Kay Letourneau's classroom. This time, she was teaching 6th grade. Vili, at that time, was only a year older than Mary Kay's oldest son, Steve Jr., and she would often invite Vili and his older brother Perry to spend time with her family. She would bring them out on family outings, dinners, staying over some nights. Vili was also growing up, having some big boy feelings. You know what I'm saying? He developed a pretty serious crush on Ms. Letourneau. He actually started being pretty heavy-handed with suggestive poems and making special mixtapes for her, working on school projects with her during non-school hours. They were spending a lot of time together. Vili also made a $20 bet with a classmate that he would be able to sleep with the teach. So there's some serious flirting, suggestive behaviors, and instead of Ms. Letourneau swatting that shit away with the quickness, she was into it, you know, flattered by the attention. You know, it was this very weird flirtation that was super gross and inappropriate. Also, Mary Kay and Steve's marriage was not great, as I mentioned. And that winter, January 1996, Mary Kay suffered a miscarriage, and she turned to her husband for comfort, but he shrugged it off. But Vili, on the other hand, was always there, always available for Mary Kay, and she felt solace in her connection with him. I know, I am grossed out too, okay? He's 12. It's perfectly normal for students to develop crushes on their teachers. It happens all the time. There's a very clear line between adult and child.
Why are you so obsessed with me?
And though it might be normal for a crush to go from the child to the adult, it's not the same circumstance in the opposite direction. And it certainly should not be reciprocated, but we'll come back to that. Okay, so as the school year went on, Vili was staying at Mary Kay's house more and more. He had permission from his mother to do this, by the way. And despite their 22-year age difference, he was infatuated with Mary Kay. He started to get bolder. And he even asked when he could get a kiss from her. And she just giggled and said, on the last day of school. Mary. No, ma'am. The correct answer is, in your dreams, child. Or, never, child. All right, so school's out for summer. Steve works these crazy long hours at the airport, and Mary Kay continued having Vili over at the house. On one evening, while her 4 children were upstairs asleep in their beds, Mary Kay and Vili's relationship turned physical.
No, don't like that.
I refuse to go into the details, but they are available if you do some casual Googling. Creep. Bottom line, they crossed the line for sure, and it became a very regular thing. In the late evening hours of June 18th, 1996, Mary Kay and Steve were arguing, as per usual. Vili was also per usual at the house working on some project and had stayed late to clean up. The fight was kind of about Vili. You know, Steve was wondering, like, why the fuck is this kid here all the time? School's not even in right now. Well, the fight escalated to the point where Vili decided to leave, and Mary Kay chased after him. Shortly after 1 a.m., a security guard at the Des Moines Marina, and it is pronounced Des Moines in Washington. Well, the security guard told the dispatch that he had a possible DWI in the north parking lot because he had observed a minivan that had driven over a planting strip and was sort of like slowly creeping around. The security guard later approached the vehicle, now parked, and he saw who we now know was Mary Kay Letourneau, quickly scrambling from the back seat to the front driver's seat. And as the security guard was there at the driver's side door, he witnessed also a young male, Vili Fualauu, lying down in the back seat. So this security guard, who's now joined by 2 other officers, spoke with the driver, Mary Kay, asked her if she was okay and could you please step out of the vehicle. She was bare-legged, wearing what appeared to be only like a long t-shirt. Well, Mary Kay told the officer that the juvenile in the vehicle was a friend that was staying with her. How old is he? Well, she hesitated for a moment and then answered, 18. By the way, he was 12 years old, a week away from turning 13. Well, as Mary Kay was being questioned, another officer spoke with the other passenger, the juvenile, Vili Fualauu, 12 years old. He told them that he was 14 years old. He said that, this was his school teacher and he was staying at her home. And after a little bit more questioning, they contacted Vili's mother. And she confirmed that it's true. Yeah, that's his teacher. And if he's with her, it's fine. She worked late nights at a pastry factory, and her son would often stay over with Mary Kay. Well, with that, the officers let Mary and Vili be on their way, but they were squinting. Well, Steve Letourneau was very suspicious about what might be going on between his wife and this kid, and Mary Kay had pretty much iced him out at this point. He didn't like the way that Vili was looking at his wife. He didn't like the way that Vili was looking at him. He wasn't wrong. So about 2 months after this Marina minivan incident, Mary Kay was pregnant. There's also some mixed information in the research of whether or not this pregnancy was 100% planned, or if when finding out that Mary Kay was pregnant, Vili asked Mary Kay to get an abortion, which was some kind of tearful argument between them. Whatever. At any rate, Mary Kay decided to try to cover her tracks a little bit and sleep with Steve so that she could tell him that it was his baby. It would just buy her a little bit of time while she's pregnant and trying to work things out. She knew that baby was Vili's, and she knew it wasn't going to look like Steve when it came out. Okay, so school started back up in the fall 1996, and the now 13-year-old Vili went on to 7th grade at Cascade Middle School. They continued their super gross relationship. By October, Mary Kay began openly speaking about this pregnancy, and she was obviously showing. She confided in a friend that the baby was not Steve's, but she was in love. Steve knew that baby wasn't his, and he urged Mary Kay to get an abortion. By then, he had also discovered this treasure trove of love letters and evidence and shit that confirmed his worst suspicions. Not only was Mary Kay cheating on him, but with an actual child. Well, Steve drove over to Vili's house, Vili's mother's house, to confront him. He asked him straight up if he was having an affair with his wife, And Vili said yes. Well, Steve threatened to call the police, and his mother, Mary Kay, was actually on the verge of telling Vili's mother herself. She knew that she was expecting her grandchild. But she was beaten to the punch when Steve's relatives called in that tip to the police. And this brings us back to the beginning of the story, when Mary Kay Letourneau was arrested for statutory rape in late February 1997. Well, 34-year-old, very pregnant Mary Kay Letourneau lawyered up, and her attorney tried to go down this road of, in different cultures and in different eras, this kind of age gap was perfectly normal, legal, encouraged. Listen, you guys, in the comments, I don't want to hear anything about, oh, my great-grandparents were 13 years old when she was pregnant. That's wrong and weird. Well, Vili maintained that their relationship was totally consensual, and it was only their ages that made it illegal. Mary Kay decided to enter into a plea agreement, second-degree rape of a child. It's a non-predatory offense and one that would make her eligible for, treatment options. Mary Kay was evaluated by no less than 5 different therapists while she was awaiting sentencing. That was going to happen later that summer. And June turned to July, and Mary Kay later gave birth to a baby girl that they named Audrey Lokelani. Vili, of course, continued to defend their relationship, saying that he was in love with her and he was not a victim of any kind. As a minor, he was able to dodge a lot of this media attention and continue communicating with Mary Kay in private. Baby Audrey was released to the care of Vili's mother, Suna. After multiple delays, on November 14th, 1997, Judge Linda Lau convened the sentencing hearing, finally. The defense focused on Mary Kay's mental fitness, that she had some kind of severe cognitive impairment and suffered from bipolar disorder. These are conditions that require treatment, not punishment. Well, Mary Kay was sentenced to 80 days in jail, probation, and a mandatory behavioral health treatment plan for the next 3 years. She had to register as a sex offender and was ordered to stay far away from Vili Fualauu and his family, and the children, including her own children.
Go on, get!
Well, she began that little period of jail time and completed it without any incident. The funny thing is, the media coverage in this case kind of worked in her favor. It humanized her. There was this pretty blonde-haired white lady holding her baby. It was the opposite of what someone might picture when talking about a child molester.
Listen, good guy and everything, but watch out.
And Mary Kay also had a bit of a fan club. A group of fucking weirdos who agreed that she was in love and she was some kind of martyr. One of those friends actually arranged for Mary Kay to get a pager. You guys remember those, right? Anyways, yeah, she got this pager and then immediately resumed contact with Vili. So after serving this shortened sentence and Mary Kay got out, by the end of January 1998, Mary Kay and Vili were finding ways to be alone and get busy, if you know what I'm saying. On February 2nd, a whole 3 days after her 36th birthday, Mary Kay picked up the now 14-year-old Vili and drove out to Oak Tree Cinemas in Seattle's North End. She had purchased a bunch of gifts for him and for baby Audrey. They saw a late-night movie, and then afterwards they sat out in the parking lot in her silver Volkswagen Fox, just chatting and catching up. Well, around 3 a.m., a patrolman came across this car, with the windows steamed up and the shadows of 2 people inside. He knocked on the windows and asked, "Everything okay in there?" Well, the police immediately recognized them, and they found also in the car $6,200 in cash and Mary Kay's passport. Were they planning to run away together? Didn't matter, because Mary Kay was immediately arrested for violating the terms of her release. On the morning of February 6th, Judge Lau laid the smackdown, vacating the terms of Mary Kay's parole and sending her immediately to the minimum security prison in Purdy, Washington for the next 7.5 years. But hold on to your butts, because Mary Kay was pregnant again. In October of 1998, this time, Mary Kay gave birth in prison, a girl that was named Georgia. The baby was again given to Vili's mother, Suna, back in Seattle. It was also around this time that Mary Kay's husband Steve was finally granted a divorce, and he took their 4 kids and moved back to Alaska. In 2002, Vili's mother Suna sued both the city of Burien and the Highline School District for over $1 million in damages, alleging that they had failed to protect her son from being victimized in this illegal relationship with Mary Kay. Well, the jury did not rule in her favor, stating that this relationship occurred off of school property, so they're not responsible. In August of 2004, Mary Kay Letourneau completed her full sentence term for committing child rape, and she was released from the Washington Corrections Center for Women. By then, Vili Fualauu was 21, and he filed a motion to reverse this no-contact order against Mary Kay, which was granted. Less than a year later, the now 22-year-old Vili and the 43-year-old Mary Kay exchanged wedding vows in front of 250 guests at a Washington winery. After her release, Mary Kay worked as a paralegal, which makes me kind of laugh a little bit. Vili worked sometimes as a DJ, using the name DJ Headline, and the two would host parties at a Seattle nightclub together. They were themed Hot for Teacher. Ick. All right, I said that I would come back to this age gap in relationships situation. Well, I know plenty of perfectly normal people that are in relationships with age gaps, varying age gaps, even like pretty big ones. Had Mary Kay and Vili met later in life, would it still be weird to have such an age gap? I'm going to say maybe not. In this instance, where one of those people is a child and the other person is in a position of authority over them, not only is there like a significant power imbalance, power dynamic at play, that's two brains in totally different stages of just development. Vili and Mary Kay have sat for many on-camera interviews over the years, and I gotta say, it's weird. Mary Kay is on another planet, in my opinion.
I was pursued, and I didn't think about it. I did not think about it. Didn't.
There's also one interview in particular where I'm pretty sure she's lying her ass off. When she's answering questions about when things became physical, Vili's eyes like totally give it away.
That was before anything physical between you both? You said he was in love?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Like, I don't know. Yeah, like weeks, a month.
Sure, Jan.
Well, Mary Kay has claimed that she didn't know it was a felony for an adult to engage in sexual activity with a 13-year-old. Well, he was 12. Mary Kay. And also, this is a school teacher. You know, they receive training on like child development and appropriate behaviors. So like, I'm calling bullshit. Mary Kay has asserted from day one that Vili was the aggressor in this situation. He was mature beyond his years and people don't understand. He dominated her like no man ever has. There is another interview that you can almost sort of see the lights go on with him.
You were the adult.
You can say that.
I am saying that.
I was by age.
And
Let's
by
just say
maturity.
that. You maybe.
You were a teacher, Mary. You
Doesn't
can't say I
matter.
was immature.
But you don't know him.
No, but I don't need to know him in this discussion. He's the child.
But who was the boss?
He was 13, Mary.
But who was the boss?
This is getting weird.
Who was the boss? Who?
I'm pursuing the relationship.
Who was the boss?
Well, I was the pursuer.
Yes.
Mary, even as you're
But-
hearing this now, come on, he was 13.
Doesn't matter.
It absolutely matters.
She's like gaslighting him, telling him, you were the boss. And he's like, but that's where my brain was at the time. What do you guys think? Tell me in the comments. Well, Mary Kay and Vili's marriage actually lasted around 12 years until around May 2017, where Vili filed for legal separation. Some say that they were having irreconcilable differences and Vili realized he didn't want to be with some old lady. Some say that Vili was trying to get some kind of weed business off the ground and his close association with a registered sex offender was not great for his business. Either way, they never actually divorced, and in 2020, Mary Kay became sick with cancer and later passed away that July at her home in Des Moines, Washington. Vili and their daughters were at her side. She was 58 years old. Vili has since said that he clearly sees that his relationship with Mary Kay wasn't healthy from the start. He also said that if one of his daughters fell into a similar situation at that age, he'd have a problem.
If one of your daughters came to you and said, I'm sleeping with my teacher, what would you say?
What?
What? Yeah, okay.
I think it would be the same reaction that any parent would have.
He told Dr. Oz that if he ever found himself attracted to a 13-year-old child at age 36, he'd go seek some help.
I couldn't look at a 13-year-old and, be attracted to that because it's just not, it's not in my brain. It's nothing that I'm attracted to. Mm-hmm. I mean, we all have our preferences, and that's just not something that I would go towards.
Anyway, he's planning to write a book, so stay tuned for that. One more thing, there's also a movie out that's new on the Netflix. It's called May December. I haven't seen it yet, but it looks good, and I know I'm late to the party, as usual. Natalie Portman plays an actress named Elizabeth who's preparing for the lead role in a biopic about a woman named Gracie. The woman, played by Julianne Moore, did prison time after entering into a relationship with a 13-year-old child. Babe, the aluminum foil, I'm almost done. Sorry. So it's not a literal depiction, but definitely inspired by the story. I'll link it down below. And that is the story of Mary Kay Letourneau. If you want to know any of the makeup that I used in today's look, just look down in the description box because everything that's available will be linked. If there's stuff that I use that was very old and expired or not available, I'll find you something similar. If you have a Crue Trime story that you want to recommend to me, there's also a link to a Google Doc down in the description box where you can fill out all of the details. I would love to hear from you. Thank you so much for hanging out today and for watching this video. I really appreciate it. If you want to see more videos like this one, then consider subscribing to this channel before you leave today. I upload new videos here on YouTube every week, and you can follow me on all the other socials. That is it for now. I will catch you next time in the next video. Bye! It's too dark. Oh no. Until the May. Oh no, this is not the right color. June 19th. Nope. Shit. Things became physical. Let's do this. I need to secure my hairs. None of these colors are right for me. Oh god. I need more blush. Why can't I just say this? He and Mary Kay shared. Why am I always singing about brushes? I'm not ready. Media. Wow, I can't. Oh my god, my stomach is growling so loud.